Conversations with Friends, the Sally Rooney novel, the adaptation on Hulu. We've been very excited for this. I think I'm a little too worked up. What about you?
I think we are. I mean, you just said you were drinking coffee, and I know it may be decaf, but for you, that's like, I feel as if we're going to get a special Corinne today.
It's a game changer. There's something in the air today. I mean, we've been really waiting for this one. And unlike Normal People, where that was the first book we read, and then the first book of hers that was adapted. Since then, we've had Beautiful World, Where Are You? We have read Conversations with Friends. Not everybody read it in that order, but we did. And now the show is on. I mean, for me, the whole thing was very loaded. I knew I was going to love this show from the start, like from the get-go. There was no chance that it was going to fail me. And it hasn't so far. We're in episodes 1 and episode 2. It has not failed me.
It has not failed you, huh?
No.
I'm not sure. I'm still not sure. There's not a lot happening so far. I mean, listen, it is a Sally Rooney novel.
Yeah.
This is not like, plot twists and a lot, but, it's always this challenge because of the interiority of her books and how that's going to translate to the screen. And I was just going to say, and the one thing that saved for me, as you know, Normal People, not that I need to be saved, but the thing was the chemistry between Paul Mescal and Daisy Edgar Jones. And I'm not sure yet about Allison Oliver and our good friend Nick Allen. I know he's our good friend.
Joe.
Joe.
Yeah.
Oh, well, he's playing Nick. Look at me. I've already combined their names.
Yes. I love that. It does often come down to chemistry of the actors. And I will say I am much more smitten by these two than I was.
I knew you were going to say that.
On screen. The book was different. I liked Marianne and Connell in the book. And then went on screen. I bought it, but I just didn't feel the same way. And these two are just making the characters really come to life for me. I'm loving
interesting.
them.
Okay, yeah. I'm not sure yet is all I'm saying. Because they've only had, a few scenes. We're just getting started.
Yeah.
But so that's my only question mark so far. I mean, I like them. I'm so interested when they're on the screen together.
Yeah.
And I'm not like, I'm just like, I think my expectations, because of the fire I felt whenever those two were on the screen. I know. And so we'll see on that.
So you said not a lot happens, but I mean, that is just the nature of a Sally Rooney novel, a Sally Rooney anything. But I actually thought a lot more happens in the show than I felt in the book.
Okay. That's probably fair. Yeah.
We're like, these first 2 episodes, we're like almost 50 pages in. I feel like a lot more happened in the show than in the book.
So interesting.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
There were a couple things I really loved. Changes. Bobby is from New York. That's different. I liked that.
I like that, but I'm a little confused because one of the things that we talked about with the book about their relationship was how far back it goes and, their high school years. And, I'm like, you kind of take that all away then. That means we know that they used to have a relationship. She says that. But but from the book, this is like kind of was a really formidable thing in their development at growing up, particularly Frances. So I thought that was an interesting change in that respect.
Yeah, but didn't she say she moved here 6 years ago?
Was okay, so she still could have. So she still could have had that. Yeah. But she does. Yeah,
maybe she came for high school, right? Couldn't it be exactly the same?
Yeah, that could be. That's true. Yeah. That's true. Yeah, I didn't hear her say the 6 years. Okay.
Well, because I think she asked Melissa, and she said 6 years, and she said 6 years too.
Okay.
I didn't write it down, so I'm not 100% sure. But I thought I
but then it could be. Okay.
Yeah, and we're starting, unlike the book where we are. In the book, you open with them having had a spoken word session, and then they're in the cab going to Melissa and Nick's house. And this was, we got a little bit more background on the two of them, Bobby and Melissa together, or Bobby and Frances together, and then a little bit of their kind of college life. And then we get into their spoken word performance, which I
loved. That I loved seeing on the screen and came across so much better than reading about that.
I loved that.
Yeah, it was very cool.
It made the whole thing come alive for me. And Frances, Alison Oliver, she is just stunning actress. I don't even know what to say. She is so...
And an unknown. They just... Lenny Abramson is just who did... He's the one who did Normal People as well.
Yeah.
To find these actors out of... You know, to pluck them out of obscurity is just obviously a specialty of his.
Yeah.
And she's the only Irish actress.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, of the four,
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think they're staying true to that in the show, right? Melissa says she's from London, Bobby's from New York, so they're not passing themselves off as all being Irish, right?
Right,
yeah.
right.
So just getting to see her be a different person when she's performing, and that doesn't take away from how shy and awkward she is, like just making small talk. The acting, like I said, of Frances is just phenomenal. It's really blowing me away. So they take a swim in the ocean. I don't know if there's any highlights you want to talk about. The first 15 minutes are kind of just setting the stage for these people and their dynamics.
Though right when they first meet, I thought it was interesting when Bobby says to Melissa, Frances is the writer, I'm the muse. And, but then she's like, we were fucking back then. And I'm like, but not anymore. And I'm like, oh, like, that's one way to characterize a relationship. Like, and I know Bobby's not one for sentimentality or putting labels on things, but that's, to describe their relationship that way, I was like, that's a little, is it cheapening, or are we meant to, or they were sending like sort of a different message here? Like, because I don't think they were just fucking.
Because I felt like it was consistent. The words were not the same.
They had a real relationship, we were meant to believe, I think, in their past. I wouldn't have described it as just fucking. I mean, that seems like very cold way to describe what I thought was supposed to have been a somewhat more meaningful relationship. I don't know. But that is Bobby.
But it was
kind of an asshole.
That's all.
I mean,
I thought it was very in line with who she is. So,
who she is, yeah.
But also, I didn't think she intended to necessarily cheapen it. It was just like, how else do you describe it? Like, oh, we dated once.
Or we used to be together.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But then she was like, and now we're not. No, we still do the spoken word, but we don't fuck anymore. It was like, I thought it worked.
I think it was very Bobby. It definitely was.
Yeah.
So. But yes, then they go kind of quickly, to them swimming in the Irish Sea. I was like, that was fast.
Yeah.
Because again, in the book, they had she was writing a story on them. So,
that's right.
So there was a reason for them to have like come to her house, and she was interviewing
Was that true
them.
from the very start? I don't remember.
Yeah, because we talked about how it also they were kind of presenting as a couple in a way, even though they weren't, but they were being interviewed together, and the piece was going to be on them, and they come to her house as sort of a kind of as a couple.
That. Yeah. The couple stuff I remember, but I didn't know that it was right off the bat. I thought it was the same idea. Melissa saw them and was like, hey, I love you guys. Come back to my house for a drink.
Right. But to jump in the sea I was like, oh, okay. Well, now we're swimming in the sea already. They just met. Like, all right, let's do this.
Yeah. But then they go to dinner.
Yes.
I don't know. This is where I started feeling it. And so, different from the book, I was not feeling anything between Nick and Frances until now. This is only a spoiler for as far as we're going. At the end of episode 2, they kiss, or at the end of episode, whichever it is, they kiss. And I was not feeling any of that until they got to that point in the book. And here I'm feeling it immediately.
Already.
Yeah.
Their awkward banter.
Yes, and it's sweet and cute. It doesn't feel awkward. It only feels awkward in the way that they're awkward, but not together. So
In the way they're each individually sort of awkward and fumbling for words.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel forced between them. It feels like there's a real chemistry between them, and they don't know how to kind of get past themselves, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So we obviously have a lot of setup also in these first 2 episodes. We have to set up her summer job. She's working at a literary agency. She's going to be reading manuscripts, the slush pile, and making, reports as to whether she thinks anybody should read this.
Right.
And we're also setting up.
Philip is there.
That's right.
We know her discussions with him, he'll become a friend, I think, a confidant.
Yeah. They are also setting up the pain of her. She's calling it period pain. We know it's something more serious than that by the end. I mean, obviously it looks more serious than that. Most people don't have cramps where they're laying on the bathroom floor and hunched over the bathtub trying to get some relief. And Bobby, we see, understands this, brings her some, pain medication and
stays over even when she tells her to go. And she's like, you stayed. And Bobby says, you suffer.
Yeah.
Like, oh, wow.
So I don't want to give away anything that we already know from the book, but I will say that I feel like they are really making it clear in these first 2 episodes that Frances is holding a different torch, a different memory, a different feeling of Bobby than I got in the book. Do you feel like that too?
Oh yeah. Maybe. I think we're getting little hints of it more than I got at this point in the book. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I think that you stayed was a big one. I mean, her face lit up. It was like, and then later when she tells her that she kissed. This is jumping to episode 2, so we want to wait. But when Bobby says, I kissed Melissa, Frances is really surprised. And
she's like a full kiss? Is that what she says? Like a real kiss?
Yeah. And it doesn't seem... Now, Bobby interprets that because it seems like her reaction is extreme. And Bobby interprets it as disapproval because Melissa is married. Now, we, as the viewer, know, or the reader, then that can't be it because she kissed Nick. Right. And so she's, maybe you can have a different reaction, a slightly different reaction when it's someone else and not you. But I think what we're intended to see here is Frances is really into Bobby. And, whether it's not completely in the past. The relationship is in the past, but her feelings clearly aren't. And she has a hard time hiding it, I think, a lot of times. And in that moment, she tells her, we already see her face. Bobby is kind of responding to it. And then they cut to their spoken word moments. Like it's almost like a love montage.
Yes. Oh, a love montage.
Yeah.
I love a good montage.
Of course. Everyone does. So I just feel like it's really clear. And in that, it's almost like Frances's mind is going like, oh my God, you kissed Melissa? Like, but we're in love. Like, but we have this connection. It's like we're almost seeing into her mind, even though they're cutting what's actually happening. It's like we're in her mind at that moment. That's what she's seeing. She's hearing music. She's seeing the 2 of them playing off of each other at the spoken word event. And so, I don't know. I felt very strongly that you can see. I
just wonder whether you'd feel that strongly if we hadn't read the book.
Yeah.
It's sort of like our first read it through the book, where it's subtle to me still, but I wonder if now, that we've read the book.
I cannot possibly take the 2 out. But that was a strong, like that
scene,
her
though,
face lighting up when she says you stayed, and then that kind of montage as Bobby, they're still having the discussion. They don't actually go to the next scene where they're doing the spoken word performance. It's all cut in between that conversation. And to me, that just felt like a normal rom-com cue. Like, I'm in love with you. I haven't let this go. And so
I even think even in one of the very first scenes when they're hanging out in episode 1 and like Bobby's, she's resting her head on Bobby's shoulder. And then Bobby gets up to leave, and she's like, "Text me when you're home." And Bobby's like, "Always." And I'm like, even that is sort of like a course I will. Like, that's what we do, you know? Yeah, and so I think there's definitely small little cues here that are giving that away.
Yeah, and I'm saying they're not so small to me, but it is hard to I do think that they're doing a really good job. I do think it is meant to cue, because it is very typical stuff. It's not just like, that is very subtle. They have this rapport, but that could be friendship.
Yeah,
that doesn't signal.
But when you put them all together,
yeah,
I think, and even the last scene of episode 2, when she's going to see Nick, I mean, what does it end with? It ends with a text from Bobby saying, like, you know, what are you up to? And Frances lying to her, but lying to her because she's like, you know, doesn't want to tell her, but that's who she's talking to on the way there, you know.
Yeah, and it was just very interesting. The way they are cutting it is very interesting, because it doesn't quite feel as removed. Nick and Frances does not feel as removed from Bobby and Melissa. Now, forget about just Bobby herself, but Bobby and Melissa even, it almost feels like a push-pull. Like, because in the book, we don't know that Bobby kisses Melissa this early.
Right. No.
And so it's like, we've each kissed one half of the married couple. Now, who's going to take it farther? And so it feels a little bit like a competition. It feels a little bit driven by what's going on.
By each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the way it's... Yeah,
as opposed to feeling truly like Frances is pursuing Nick. There's obviously some of that. She's obviously taken by him. He's handsome. She likes him. They have a chemistry, a rapport. But it does feel more driven by what's going on outside of it than it ever did for me in the book.
Yeah,
and I love it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, no, and that's what we talked about in our episode on the book, that we kind of were, I think, hoping they would do this a little bit more in the adaptation, and it does look like that's where we're going.
Yeah, although I was thinking it would be more of seeing actually Bobby, because in the book it's all from Frances's point of view. You can't know what else is going on outside of Frances's specific point of view. I thought they would show us more of actually Bobby and Melissa together, which they're not. The show is truly keeping it from Frances's point of view, even though it doesn't have to. But I feel like we are getting more of watching Frances react more to Bobby and Melissa than I felt in the book.
Yeah, and I was wondering, I think, how closely they would stay with the novel, because, you know, they did very closely with Normal People, but Sally Rooney wrote the first 6 of those, I believe. So stands to reason that she'd keep, not that authors don't change their own work, but, you know, and then Alice Birch was the other writer on Normal People. Now, Alice Birch wrote this. Yeah. Well, she wrote the first half. And then the second half is written by another woman. So that's going to be interesting too. I mean, Alice Birch, was involved with Normal People, maybe, you know,
I feel like she's in Sally Rooney's head in my mind.
That's what I was going to say. She's sort of like a stand-in for Sally Rooney to me now at this point. I know.
So I do feel, I wasn't sure where you were going with it. I think this is very faithful to the book, with the one exception of Bobby being from New York, and also just a little bit more background, as opposed to starting after the spoken word performance where they go right back to their house. Other than that, I feel like it's very following the book.
Yes, so that's why I feel like she is sort of, I don't know if the stand-in is right now, and I don't know if the second half, once I think that's written by Maeve McHugh, another playwright. There's a lot of playwrights. Alice Birch is a playwright.
I know.
You know, we've mentioned this on Succession. She was a writer on Succession, Alice Birch. And we've
interviewed Sasha Rothschild, was a theater major, and then Charlotte Stout got her start in the theater as well. A lot of playwrights sneaking into screenwriting and even novel writing too. Yeah.
Alice Birch is a Virgo, just so you know. I looked that up.
Didn't know that. Okay.
She's only 35 too. Jesus, I mean, she's written on Succession. She wrote Normal People. I'm like, these goals, man.
She knew what they wanted. They knew what they wanted to do, and they weren't led astray like I was. I could say that.
Right.
Led astray by the law.
It's interesting too that they do this, where someone writes and directs the first 6, and then someone else writes and directs the the back six, because there was also a different director for the back six, a woman, Leanne Wellham. So I don't know, they did that with Normal People too, and I can't remember if we sort of noticed a difference. I felt like we did a little bit.
Yeah, but it was so hard to say whether it was just the story developing.
That's right. That's
that
true.
was for me. That was I wasn't sure which one it was.
Right.
I did
So
feel
we'll
like we
see.
were getting much more of the real Marianne in the end. The final six, but that also could have been just the development of the character, and they didn't want to kind of put that in right away.
Right. So I guess we'll find out.
That's exciting. But I'm feeling this is very, very true to the book.
Yeah.
But and with little differences that I even find it a little better. I love actually hearing their spoken word, which we had never heard anything. The first one they do is about like being a woman and are you useless and pole dancing and are we really taking it back, because it's good if we are, but if are we really just doing it like air quotes of like this is empowering, and yet it's exactly what men would want us to do anyway, dance on a pole for exercise, right?
Yeah, it's good for our muscles or something, but yeah.
And then the second one that we see, or I remember another one which I thought was, again, this was super subtle as opposed to what I thought of the love montage. Bobby shits on marriage and says like, ugh, like, why do people get married? It's just so dumb. And I can't, and she's speaking specifically to Melissa and Nick. I can't see her like in the dress and the cake topper and all that. And like, it doesn't make any sense. And then the next spoken word performance is about diamonds and how useless they are, and are we really just being sold this bill of goods? And we know Frances writes them. So again, I thought that was really subtle, but it seems she's responding to Bobby. Bobby's not the writer, but again, we've set her
she's the muse.
And so she's writing to her.
Yes.
Which I feel like was not as clear. It didn't have that second layer in the book because we didn't see any of the spoken word. Now we see what Frances is writing, and it seems very directly driven by what Bobby says.
Right, and I think you said this earlier, you also, by seeing it on screen, you see a different Frances up there. I mean, that can't come across like she seems much less awkward. She seems much more sure of herself on the stage. And even the one where she knows Nick is coming and she's clearly nervous beforehand and staring in the mirror. And once she gets out there and sees him, she actually becomes more confident. And that I thought was great, because that did not come across in the book to me. That once she gets up there, she actually lights up.
Yeah. It couldn't come across in the same way. You're right. I also thought it wasn't just the spoken word, which I also love they gave to her with dancing. After they
the dance
right?
scene. I wanted more. Why was it so short? I was like, I love this scene. Look at her. I just was such a quick glimpse of her. She looked free. And
confident.
Like, yes.
I mean, she wasn't like holding on to Bobby. She wasn't like looking to, she was like in it. She was really, I loved that.
And those are in sharp contrast to what she's like around Nick, which is like
it's just a sharp contrast to who she is, I think.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. It's not just Nick. It's just she has, I don't know, or maybe that's me projecting, because I can be very shy and awkward, especially when I'm like, it's small talk that I have to really don't want to do. And then you put me, speaking out loud. That's something I love to do. Dancing. And it's not even drinking. When I'm dancing, I feel like that. I feel free and confident and not at all like awkward or shy. And so
that's
feel
true.
Like
she is. It's
really
the one-on-one conversations where she turns more. You're right. The small talk, but the one at the end of the spoken word when he had come to see her and he's trying to tell her how good it was. And he's trying to say he liked it, but he's like I'm doing a terrible job of explaining this, and he's like, I'll craft you an email later and it'll be full of compliments. And she's like, and won't require us to make eye contact. And I thought of that quote that I used in the What She Said in our regular episode about how Frances, being a writer, that she feels most in control when she writes a written word, which is what he's saying too, and that the two of them are much better when they write over email or text. But that Sally Rooney's point is, but that's where the worst communication happens. That like you're much less vulnerable, and that Frances would be happier if she allowed herself to be weak.
Yeah,
and if she had forced herself to try to talk. But it's really Nick in that instance who's saying like, I can't do this. I'd be like, I'll write you an email. It'll be much clearer. But that's I said that on our other episode. That's how I feel. I'm like talking, and then I'm like, if I could just write this in an email, like this would be a lot clearer. Only about things like this that are like feelings and vulnerability,
right?
That kind of stuff. I'd be much better. Like, please just let me write you an email.
Now, isn't this funny? Because I think we said this in the book, but I feel like now I'm seeing it in new ways. Like we said, Frances is partially me, partially you, and now I get it. I'm seeing it now. And I'm not at all. You're great at small talk. You're great at cocktail parties, like whatever.
Yeah, because it's not
and I'm
real
not
talk.
Right. And real talk, I am there. So I don't relate to Frances in that way, but you do. Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
But they don't have the emails in this, and maybe they will, but a lot of their communication in the book was emails and text, and we are seeing text.
It started with IMs, and then it went to
emails.
emails.
I am. Right. Yeah. IM and email. So now what we're seeing is the equivalent of the IMs, like
the texting.
But we're not, I
think we're going to get to
for
it.
Them. Okay.
I think so.
Maybe it's hard to do
because in these
emails
first two
over text.
episodes, really nothing has happened between them. Some awkward flirting and a kiss, right?
Yes.
So it'll, as the relationship progresses, I think
that's
the
what
communication
I couldn't remember.
will too.
In the book, when they kiss, I just remember it was like page 56 or something. I remember. But had they had emails or text before that, or was the kiss as abrupt as that? This one felt like, wow, now they're kissing.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like that way in the book to me, though. Like when I got to it, I wasn't like, oh. It was like a whiplash a little bit. I was like, oh, now we're kissing. Like,
I didn't feel, I didn't feel the whiplash in either one.
Okay. No, I didn't feel it in the book.
Right.
But here I was like, what? I mean, I know it's coming, but it just seemed like maybe there was more between them before the kiss in the book, but maybe
I thought
maybe
there
not.
was
Because like
more,
I said, it was only 56.
Yeah. And I think,
so,
well, that was actually, we thought that was a long time, or I thought that was a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I felt a lot between them. See, for me, I'm not sure I would describe it the same way, but maybe it is the same idea. In the book, I felt like their kiss was like, oh my God, like this is, I felt so much between them. And here I felt all of it leading up to it. And so it felt very natural, like a natural progression. But
did it feel as hot for you? I thought it was going to be hotter. I think I had way too much expectation on this scene.
Yeah. So I can't really say whether I thought it was hotter or not. I did remember in the book, it felt more, dangerous is too strong of a word for these two.
No, I agree, because they were, but they were right.
They were
doing
in a closet, anything dangerous.
Like, I know, but I agree with you, because in the book they were like right off the party, like this. You know what I mean? There was more of a, like, I don't know. They're up in a room with the door closed. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
it felt more dangerous. I think that is a fair word.
I think there was more abandon, more passion.
Yeah,
but a lot of that was circumstantial, just because they were kissing in the book. They were kissing like right off the party, and it seemed much more obvious that everyone was really drunk. And, so that was tempered the abandon a little bit. It was like, or the danger of it a little bit. It was like, everybody's drunk. Even if someone walked in, it'd be like, whoa, what did I see? Right. So, but but for me, the big point in the book was it felt very unlike them. It felt very uncharacteristic of who we had known Nick and Frances to be. And so that felt revelatory in the book. Here, this kiss in the room, alone, door closed, he's kind of brooding. I don't know how drunk either one of them really are.
Right.
It felt much more in line with who they are, which I guess is good in one way, but also took a little of the impact away from me.
Yeah, I think that's right. I just felt a little differently, but I do think that I was really might have just been placing that scene like way up here. And
sure.
Then I was like, here it is.
It's coming.
The bottle on her face.
Yes, that's right.
It is good. I mean, but
I'm not going to lie. I was also kind of distracted that there was some woman kissing Taylor Swift's boyfriend.
Oh.
I had that moment. I did.
I literally thought before I watched any of this, I wonder if that will be a thing, like a barrier for people in the audience. Like,
and was it for you?
Oh, I think a little bit, and because, part of what, with Marianne O'Connell and Daisy Edgar Jones and Paul Mescal, this is true of any actors when you love their chemistry. You sort of want to believe that they could be a couple, like in real life. Of course, that's why people love when they find out that like people are dating in real life. Like I think it's something like the fantasy or the fairy tale is true. I mean, you can't watch. You're like, but that's Taylor Swift. Yeah. Like, it does sort of make you.
That's
like,
interesting. I did not think of that because I don't normally.
Because part of it,
do that.
Do you do that? Like,
no.
I do think subconsciously though. People,
yes.
When you watch on the screen, you're like,
100%.
Like you want to believe, even though it's ridiculous they're acting, but to know that it's Taylor. I don't know.
Yeah.
Also, did he seem? He's supposed to be like 20 years older than her. I mean, is that
20?
like? I guess I don't really.
No, I thought they were. It was
wasn't
like
he like
10.
40 and she's 25?
30. They were early 30s. I thought he was 32. She was Melissa's 35. I thought, and they were 21.
Does he even?
20?
I guess. Yeah. Okay. So they look. She does seem younger than him.
Yeah.
He just has a kind of a young face to me.
He does.
But,
he does.
Yeah. I don't. But
which I think works though, because I don't think it's supposed to look creepy.
No.
Right?
No. Yeah, that would be
or
weird.
like, there's not really supposed to be a question of the appropriateness as far as the age difference. The appropriateness is a lot of things. Like they're married. Right. There's a lot of other barriers. But
he does say like, I'm older than you, like right in that text.
Yes, that he should have known better and
should have known better.
Yes.
So I think he's supposed to be old enough just to have been wiser, perhaps, and make better choices or whatever.
And I think that still holds, right? I think that still felt true to me.
Right, right.
So they're also setting up in episode 2 the Frances's parents, her visit with her mother and her father. Her mother is just kind of awkward, and then the father is unpleasant. Which is tracks with the book, but
unavailable. I mean, he's just
critical.
Yeah, detached. Yeah. I mean, we know he's an alcoholic, but in this one, it was just. I mean, obviously he's sitting there drinking a beer, but it actually just seems more just like lonely and not engaging and
So that's the setup. Obviously, that storyline is going to progress as we go on, but. I was thinking in those scenes, it's the back-to-back, which makes sense because she has to go, she travels somewhere to go see the mother, and we know the father, they're divorced, but they live near each other. And so, but it went from the mother to the father, and I was like, where's Nick? Like, what the hell is going on? And then, like, really, as I thought that, the text message came up when he apologized for kissing her. So, also different from the book is Frances goes and tells Bobby at Melissa's birthday party. She goes and tells Bobby, I'm leaving, and Bobby says, I'm going to stay. That is different because Frances doesn't go find Bobby, nor do we know like what happened. So, which I see now was the setup for her telling her I kissed Melissa, and so
right. I
thought that worked. Yeah.
In the text when Paul, when Nick does finally surface. And apologizes, and she says we should talk about it at some point. Oh no, that's when they see each other at the the poetry reading. Yeah, but she says we should talk about it at some point. I could call over, and I'm like, I forgot that Frances is like, did she? She obviously is the one that kissed him, and now she's the one saying I could call over. I'm like, was Frances always making the first move here? She was, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, that's not a change, right? Okay.
No. Although I will say that, I don't know if we want to go too much into the kiss, but I thought that was an interesting thing when she kisses him. And he kind of like...
Why would we not want to go too much into the kiss? I mean, come on.
Because I wasn't sure if you really enjoyed it. I didn't want to
Oh, no. Yeah.
Okay. But then he is like open mouth, like hanging back a little bit.
Yeah.
And then he kind of pushes into it, which... the big thing in the book is he's very passive, and so in the book she kisses him, he lets her,
right?
And this felt a little bit more equal to me. I mean, clearly Francis initiates it, and he does kind of hold back. But then when he pushes forward, I'm like, okay, he's all in now.
Yeah,
but I think it actually
you wouldn't
works.
want him to just literally be like,
right.
Like,
yeah.
Because then it seems like...
I had such a problem with the idea that he was passive. I just didn't necessarily see it. And I didn't even see that they saw it that way. So I feel like this is more of the push-pull that I could not have imagined that they were going to be able to show on screen.
Right.
And now
through the acting. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
I know.
No.
I liked it. I liked that.
And so now she's going over there.
Yes.
Getting closer. Or she's on the way at the end of episode 2.
That's right. And
because Melissa's out of town.
That's right.
So this
we
is
know
where
she's in London, and this opportunity.
He has to mind the dog.
Yeah, which I thought was ridiculous. What about the play? Why couldn't he use it in the play? They could have a dog sitter. That's ridiculous.
I know. Well, that's why I thought it was even shows that, like, he just isn't going to travel with her. Doesn't want to. That's the state of their marriage.
Yes.
Like, she's going away and he's going to mind the dog. That's what I took it as. It just shows how disconnected they are.
That's good. I didn't think of it that way, and you're 100. That's the truth. So that's good.
Mind the dog.
And then that last scene when she's on the train and Alexei Murdoch, All My Days is playing. Oh, I cannot tell you how many times I've played that particular song over and over and over. Just
really?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That was a big one for me. Like, I don't know when it was. Not 20 years ago, 15 years ago. I don't know.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Big song for me. So I really liked that.
Yeah, I like the
music.
And
she's like just smiling a little bit.
I know.
So good.
I know.
I was really in love. I'm trying not to gush about it because I feel like I'm trying to say something intelligent. But if I was going to just take a step back from my analytical brain, I was like this.
Like, I loved it.
I loved it. I was in love. I was in love with... Funny, the thing I was in love with the most was Francis, the person. I wasn't in love with the relationships. I mean, I am. But that was what really stood out to me, was how in love with Francis I was in these 2 episodes.
This is Francis's story. So if Francis couldn't,
but I didn't feel it in the book,
that.
and it didn't take away from the book for me. I was in love more with the relationships in the book.
Yes.
And here, it is Francis. I
do. She's very, I don't know. She does feel different.
She does. And it's the spoken word, and the dancing, those moments. I'm like,
and her awkwardness. It's endearing, but understand. I don't know.
It's true. It is.
Yeah.
I felt
She's
like
good.
that for Nick, too. His awkwardness was endearing as well.
It is, because, he's described in the book as like this heartthrob and so handsome, and everybody talks about how handsome he is. And obviously he is. I mean, and they picked an actor who is. But yes, I can look at him and be like, he's very handsome. But that's not what handsome, sometimes you think like some
cocky,
gorgeous actor. Yeah, cocky, arrogant. His awkwardness makes him more attractive, and like his hesitation and he's not good with his feelings, and I don't know. I don't know. She's really good at writing those kind of men, though. We've talked. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. See, and that is something I am more attracted to than Connell, who was a little bit more brooding, right? A little bit more just quiet. It wasn't awkward per se. It was truly more just an introverted, stoic presence, and that just doesn't quite do anything for me. I'm like, hello, is anyone home?
Right.
And this, someone's home with Nick.
Yeah, they just can't. He just can't get it out.
I'm like dying. My face.
I know.
I love. See,
it's like he says, your cheeks are a little warm, a little red, whatever he says. You're like,
yes, but just a little, just a little. He's like, doesn't want to make her feel bad, but that's how I feel. That is how I feel, and so that is. And so there's nothing they can do about that. There's the kind of chemistry one person is drawn to, and there's the kind of chemistry another person is drawn to. If you are more into the chemistry of a Marianne and a Connell, then this show is never going to rise to that level. If you are, like me, more intrigued by people who seem like there's so much is going on up there and in their heart and in their head, and they just can't get it out. This is, to me, next level stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm into them. Yeah. Let's just see. I want to see that we're going to get to the the sex scenes in Normal People. are the stuff of legends. Yeah. I don't know what. And again, I have to adjust my expectations. I mean, this is different. It
is very different.
So yeah. And so. No. And I like their chemistry. It's a different kind of chemistry.
That's all I'm saying. I liked Marianne and Connell's. It's just a different. This is much more I feel more invested. Whereas before I was like, with Marianne and Connell, I was like, I totally see it, but I don't feel it for myself.
Yeah, I was dying.
Right. And you see it here, but I am like in it. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, but that's good.
I know. I like it. I like it. All right. Anything else that we didn't cover for these 2 episodes?
No.
They were short. The music was great. We are again seeing the kind of dancing. That was another thing that I don't remember that being in the book at all, but now is feeling like quintessential Sally Rooney adaptation, because there were quite a few club dancing scenes in Normal People. Yeah. So I love that they brought it into this.
Maybe she's secretly a club dancer.
See,
we just don't.
That's like me.
Not secretly, but
but that's like me. Like you think, especially you think I'm kind of bookish, shy, lawyer, like whatever, and I'm like, going out to the club is like my
I've seen you at a
thing. Yes, I know.
I've seen it.
So
yes, you have. Now, Sally Rooney, I don't know. I mean, it could be.
Now I see it, though. Now I see it.
She would not like us talking about this, as we know.
Yes, because we'd be insane for thinking we know her.
Right.
We're just speculating,
We're just
Sally.
Making it up.
Back off.
Fiction.
We've made you into one of our characters, okay?
Exactly. No, and just the whole feel of the show. I mean, it's just like this. I love it. It's like Normal People. It's like I love the settings. It's it's like dreamlike in a way, but also realistic. I don't know. I mean, Lenny Abramson, it's got same kind of feel to it.
It does, but
not
it still
tired.
Feels right. Yeah. Exactly, still feels unique. And I think one of the things for me was a lot of Normal People took place in the school environment.
That's right.
And this is their school age, their college age, but they are not in their. Kind of the point of it is that they have been brought up into this adult world, right, where they are having their first kind of job, and going to Nick and Melissa's house where they're. I think Bobby says that you're so grown up, So
yes,
we'll see that. So that lends itself to a different feel, even though it's the same city,
right.
A lot of the same setting. So same but different, and I like that. Anything else?
No, we got to get to the next one.
I know.
Next.
I know.
I know you're not a binger, but we're going to be binging a few more.
These are short. And I'm hooked. They're very good about where they're leaving it. I mean, the fact that they left that with the train, playing Lexi Murdoch, her having that little...
I was like this,
smile.
Because I'm like, she's going to Nick's, and then it's like...
Gotta stop.
I was like, damn it.
I know. Yeah. And we are stopping to not watch ahead before we talk.
Yes.
And so that,
we don't want to talk to you about and inadvertently give out something from the next
else,
one.
Even though we know anyway. But all right. So we'll be back then with the next few.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.